Hello guys, welcome back to the Oddspedia channel. This is Odds on La Liga. Let's take a look at the second week of the Spanish Championship. We are gonna see Real Madrid back in action. The champions debut will be in Anoeta. So let's see which games we have available, which odds we can find, and which tips will be interesting for you to bet on now. So we already have the second week of La Liga. This time, remember that Real Madrid is gonna make their debut in the championship, but Barcelona, Atletico de Madrid or Sevilla, for instance, won't play. And another team that is gonna make their debut is Getafe. They ended the season later because they played in the Europa League against Inter. And they are gonna play first in this second week. They play on Friday against Osasuna at home. If we take a look at the odds, we are gonna see that the odds are quite high for both outcomes. I would say Getafe is a slightly favorite. If we check on oddspedia.com, we find over 2.0 odds. But be careful because they ended really bad the season. They didn't make a lot of signings during the summer. They signed Unal, for instance, from Villarreal, but they lost Jorge Molina. His relationship with the coach was not very good. And they face Osasuna. Osasuna lost Chimi Avila against he suffered a really serious injury in his knee. Very bad luck because it's like the second serious injury on the knee, but they started the season pretty well. They beat Cadiz away. So the obvious bet here would be backing Getafe, but to be honest, I wouldn't trust that. Also, Getafe is well known to be a very defensive team. Osasuna is also a very tough team. So under 2.5 goals won't be a bad bet here, but the odds are not really high. Honestly, it's around 1.50, but that would be my choice because I'm not pretty sure that Getafe is gonna win this one. Then for Saturday we have Villarreal Eibar. Villarreal's debut in La Liga was really bad. Actually, the best thing was the result because Huesca, a newly promoted team, were way better than this new Villarreal commanded by Unai Emery. A lot of signings, but I guess they need time. It's a pity because they ended up pretty well last season with Calleja on the bench. And I mean, Emery is a really good coach, but their start was not very good. If we check the odds, of course, Villarreal is favorite. We have 1.66 now on Oddspedia. But seeing the level of Villarreal last week, I don't know. I have doubts. Eibar was very consistent. It's always a team really tough to beat. Mendilibar is a very defensive coach. And I'm surprised to see here the odds for under. We have over 2.5. if we bet on under 2.5 goals. So I think this could be a good option here, especially because Villarreal odds are quite low and I wouldn't risk here. Then the next game we have Celta Valencia, also on Saturday. Really good debut for Valencia. I said last week that they lost most of the stars, and that's the truth, but they have a good coach like Javi Gracia. We could see in this Valencia's derby how they perform really as a team and with youngster, which is very important when the club does not have any money. And they face Celta Vigo. Again, you know, last season they found their salvation in the very last minute. They didn't change a lot and they just drew in their first game, pretty boring game, against Eibar away. So here the odds is Celta 2.30, we have the draw 3.69 and Valencia's victory is 3.35. So I'm not sure if you would bet some money. I could put money on Valencia actually. The odds are really high for the Valencia's team, for Javi Gracia's team. 3.30 is a lot. We saw a really good performance, even they conceded a very early goal against Valencia and their morale, could be beaten, but they came back in a really good way. So I think there is a lot of chances to make good money here if we back Valencia. What do you think? Do you think it's also a good option? If we move forward to Sunday's game, we have a very important game for the relegation battle already in the second week. We have Huesca Cadiz. Huesca got a very good result, a draw at Villarreal's stadium, El Madrigal, and actually the team was way better. In my opinion, they should have won that game. They scored thanks to Maffeo, really good goal. He was playing for Man City, for instance, good youngster, and we saw a little bit of controversy because Villarreal drew thanks to a penalty. In my opinion, that's not a penalty. Again, a really strange handball. So their debut in Primera is the second time Huesca is in Primera Division, was very good, and they faced Cadiz. I said they had an interesting project. I still think that, but they need probably time to be stable in Primera. Their first game against Osasuna, also a direct rival to avoid relegation, was pretty bad. They made some mistakes, defensive mistakes, and they ended up losing at home. So checking the odds on oddspedia.com, we find like Huesca odds is 2.33 and the draw is 3.28. Cadiz victory over 4. Here I find some value on betting on Huesca, to be honest. I would back the team, especially with these high odds over 2, especially seeing what we saw in the first week. So let's back here Huesca. And then we have Granada Deportivo Alaves. I said last week that Granada's project is very interesting. They are gonna play for the very first time in their history Europa League, and they started the season with a victory against Athletic Club, also at home at Los Cármenes. Last year they were very, very strong at their own home, and they faced Alaves, a team that I'm sure they are gonna struggle this year. And actually they were beaten at home in the first week against Betis in the very last minute, a very good goal scored by Tello. So Granada's start was good, Alaves' start was poor, and if we check the odds, we find that Granada's odds are over 2.15 right now on Oddspedia. So I think the Andalusian team should win this one. And moving on Sunday, we also have Real Sociedad, Real Madrid, the best, of course, clash in the week. Real Madrid summer is being very, very quiet actually. I think they were seated eating popcorns while seeing Barcelona's summer really, really struggling with the market and after their terrible defeat in the Champions League. But Real Madrid have not bought any player. They only got Odegaard back from Real Sociedad. He was on loan. Last year he was actually shining a lot with the Basque Country team. And they sold, for instance, Ashraf Hakimi, who was on loan on Borussia Dortmund, and now he is with Inter Milan. They sold also James Rodriguez to Everton. So not many changes. We should expect a little bit more, in my opinion, about Eden Hazard, whose season was terrible last year. He was always injured, but he's not gonna start also the season pretty well. He has some problems, so I wouldn't expect him also at Anoeta. We should expect more about Valverde, about Vinicius, about Rodrigo. So I think Real Madrid should be better than last year. We saw how they ended up the season pretty well, I would say, and of course they won the title, and one of the most important victories, they got it also at Anoeta, where they beat Real Sociedad with a lot of controversy with the referees and the VAR. Real Sociedad, on the other hand, they didn't start the season pretty well. I was quite disappointed to see how Valladolid were better than them. They got a draw, so it's 1 point, is okay, but Valladolid was way better. If we check the odds for this game, we have Real Sociedad with 5.0, a draw is 4, and Real Madrid is 180. It's quite high, the odds, I would say, for Real Madrid. So I would put some money on it. I think we don't know how Real Madrid is gonna perform, to be honest, because they haven't played any game in this pre-season. But seeing how they ended up last season, seeing how Real Sociedad started this season, and Real Madrid usually get very good results at Anoeta historically. So seeing these odds, I think they are pretty appealing, to be honest, for Real Madrid team. And if you are enjoying this video, please do not forget to subscribe to our channel and click on the bell to get notifications. Also, thumbs up if you are enjoying the video, and do not forget that we have our Spotify, where you can listen all the podcasts about La Liga, about the Premier League, about all the shows we perform here in the Oddspedia channel. And the last game we have for this second week of La Liga is Betis Valladolid at the Benito Villamarín. Remember that Athletic Barcelona, Sevilla, Elche, Levante, Atlético de Madrid are postponed because they all played in the last rounds of the Champions League or Europa League, so they didn't have enough time to rest. So this Betis Valladolid is an interesting game, especially seeing what happened in the first week. Betis got a very important victory in the stadium of Alaves thanks to a great goal scored by Tello in the very last minute. But I was not very happy about Betis' performance. It's the first game with Pellegrini, so I guess this project needs a little bit more of time. On the other hand, we saw Valladolid facing Real Sociedad, a very good team, and Valladolid played really well. Actually, I would say they were way better, especially in the first half. They took the lead, but at the end, the Basque Country team got a draw. So if we see, the odds are quite tricky. Betis is really favorite, around 2.0. The draw is 3.82, and Valladolid is 4.30 if we check the odds in Oddspedia. To be honest, I wouldn't trust here Betis. I think the odds are quite low, especially thinking about what we saw in the first week. If we check the goals market under, which is good, I would say, thinking about what we saw in the first week, is 1.91, really appealing. I also think, to be honest, that Valladolid is gonna get something in the Betis stadium. So here I could go either for under, or I could put some money actually on Valladolid. However, as we said also, in these first weeks, be a little bit patient, because we don't know yet how the teams are gonna work. They are pretty new projects, especially Betis, so I would be very cautious with this game. So we have some interesting bets to make for this second week of La Liga, and we have a very interesting game. Of course, we should highlight Real Sociedad, Real Madrid, the champions debut, with high odds for the victory of Zidane's men. So we will be back very soon in Odds on La Liga, telling you more tips and more betting opportunities for the Spanish Championship.